Hey, Eric.
Hey, how's it going, Noah?
I'm doing pretty well. How's everybody doing in the chat there? See, we got a few people there. We've got Rob Zamora. Good evening, Rob. We've got Heinrich saying hello to Rob. We got Jeremy. Good to see you guys. And then another Heinrich.
And G.
And we got a G. Check this out. We got somebody else too.
Yo,
Hey,
Look at this
what's
guy.
up, guys?
We got Caspar,
we got two mics.
J Mac. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. This is one of those rush and run around nights. Try to get here in time to hop on for a little bit with you guys before work.
Is that Russian as in the accents that you like to use, or rushing, like
Those vidanya,
you're in a
yes.
hurry? Both?
Yeah, a little bit.
Cool.
I was out to dinner with the family, and they hadn't brought our dinner out yet. You guys were talking about jumping on. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but we're here. We're good.
That's how we roll. We don't do anything like super like early or anything. We could just kind of slide in there, all of us.
My favorite thing to do: slide in there.
Speaking of which, we got Thomas. He's got his Heelys on. Happy Friday indeed. Mike, did you not bump into Heinrich?
I'm pretty sure that I did, but dude, it's such a hectic
Yeah,
weekend. It all kind of like starts to blur together and mesh together.
sure.
And then not only that, but like sometimes I'm sure you guys experience this too. You'll have a conversation with like a bunch of people for a while and walk away, and then later when they post their pictures in the cabal, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm just putting two and two together now. Like I
Mm-hmm.
hung out with you for a
Right.
while, and it's you don't really always realize who everybody is.
Yeah, that's how it works. Well, um, in case nobody knows, I'm just going to go over something real quick. We are here tonight. We're live enabling, and we have a really cool topic to talk about. We've got Eric Miller's customs he did, the debut customs for Legions Con 2024. Eric, what are those? What are the two customs that you did? What are those ones called?
Yeah, so I had two main customs on my table for this year, and they both were pretty cool, like kind of extensive projects. So I thought it would be cool to talk about it a little bit. Both of them are Disney parks tributes, like I've been doing a lot of. One of them is a concept that never really made it to the parks, which is the Candleman, kind of loosely based around Haunted Mansion. And then the other is one that did exist but is gone now, which is the three-headed troll from the Maelstrom ride in Epcot. So,
R.I.P.
yeah, for real. It's the Frozen ride now. So now it's all Elsa and Olaf and whatever.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's still a fun ride, but it's not getting cursed by a three-headed troll fun.
Right. Oh man, do you think somebody has that like just in their garage somewhere? The
You know,
animatronic.
it better be somewhere. It's probably in the Disney archives, but like, man, if they just threw it away, I don't even know. That would that would be that would be awful.
What would you guys do if you had that thing? Where would you put it?
I
Next to
have
the
no
dragon.
idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
It
you
wouldn't
need just
surprise
about
me
the same amount of space.
if they like wind up reusing it somewhere down the road. Like they'll do that sometimes. You'll see like something from one ride that'll years later make an appearance somewhere else as like a little Easter egg.
That's true.
Yeah. Check this out.
Yeah.
I also need Mike's signature. I forgot. I bought a Zenday. I told you guys I bought a Zenday specifically to get Mike to sign it. I have like a few at home already, I didn't need to have an extra one, but I bought it specifically so I could have Mike sign it, and did not have Mike sign it.
Like it didn't even occur to like everything
Yeah.
was just hanging out like all weekend, and at no point did it
Yep.
ever come up. But we'll take care of that, man. Don't
Yeah.
even worry about it.
Yeah.
Send me a clamshell or something.
That's
I forgot to tell
that's
you.
exactly what I'm gonna do.
I forgot to tell you, Mike. After you had left on Sunday, Mike Casper was like, "Is Xavier gone?" I was like, "Yeah, he had to go do something with his family," and he was like, "Oh, I needed his signature."
He reached out to me the other day in the DM and was like, "Oh, he's like, I need you to sign the box." So at Legion's Con next year, we're gonna do like an NFL jersey swap after the game. So we should hopefully have the Amir
Amir.
in hand by then. So I'll have him sign that, and I'll sign the other box.
Yeah,
I'll take a
that'd be
picture of
awesome.
it. Yeah, Super Bowl jerseys.
That'd be super cool. So let's talk about the topic here a little bit.
Sure.
Eric had sent over some pictures of just basically the whole process of doing these customs. And so, Eric, would you like me to share those now? We can start with
Sure.
the first ones, and maybe
Yeah,
if you
with-
want to kind of take us through.
Yeah, with the with the head sculpts and other things that you had been working on with Jeremy Wilson. We had been doing lives about that, so I figured, we might as well do a live show about this. Now that it's out there and I've let people see it. Like, I think behind the scenes stuff is cool, so I don't. Hopefully, everyone else thinks that it's interesting too. But yeah, we can go ahead and talk about it if you'd like.
I think we would all like. Check this out.
So
Tell us about this, Eric.
this is the Candleman. So Candleman came from when they were conceptualizing the Haunted Mansion back in the 60s for Disney World, or actually Disneyland. There's an Imagineer named Rolly Crump who's like he's like a legend among legends. He's the legend to the legends. And he did a lot of the early Disney park stuff. And he had this idea, though he wasn't like directly working on Haunted Mansion as much, he had this idea for something called the Museum of the Weird, which was basically concepts that he had for the Haunted Mansion, but they never even got that far. The story kind of went that, the main two guys that were on Haunted Mansion, who were Mark Davis and I can't even think of the other one now because I'm live on this thing. But there were two main guys in charge of Haunted Mansion. One of them wanted it to be goofy. One of them wanted it to be like super scary. Mm-hmm. And Rolly Crump was another Imagineer that had some ideas that he wanted for it, which were just on the really strange side. Mm-hmm. So he made all these maquettes of all these things he wanted in this thing. And they had basically like a roundtable discussion about what this Haunted Mansion was going to be with Walt Disney, and the other guys hid Rolly Crump's stuff like behind the door, essentially.
You want to see something real quick, Eric?
Yeah.
I found something else hiding behind the door.
Hey.
Hey,
What's up, everybody?
Wyatt made it.
It wouldn't be me if I didn't show up a few minutes late to something. So,
Guy got to stay in character, man.
yeah, I got to stay in character. I got a reputation to uphold. How's it going?
Doing all right, man.
Did I miss too much? Did we talk about anything else other than the candle fella?
Just kinda
no,
got,
we're-
got started.
Yeah, I was just kind of
perfect.
introducing it.
Oh, right on. Cool. Well, carry on, Eric.
The other Imagineer was called Claude Coates. That was his name. I can't believe I couldn't
Okay.
remember that. But anyway, they had a meeting with Walt Disney about Haunted Mansion, and basically at the end of the meeting, they didn't talk about Rolly Crump's stuff at all. They hid it behind the door, and at the end of the meeting, Walt was like, "Okay, cool, it sounds great. What's the stuff behind the door?" And they were like, "Oh, that's just some stuff Rolly made. Don't worry about it, But he wanted to hear about it, so Rolly Crump got to like walk him through all the stuff. And then I guess the next morning, Rolly Crump went to his office, and Walt Disney was sitting in his chair. He was wearing the same clothes he was wearing the day before. And he was like, "I saw that stuff and I couldn't sleep, man. You kept me up all night." So then he got all these ideas for Haunted Mansion. And they decided to do basically a museum tacked onto it called Museum of the Weird. And it never happened. But Candleman was one of those concepts for Museum of the Weird. one last cool thing about it, though, is that it has kind of emerged in some ways in the Haunted Mansion in the last couple of years. There's a little 3D printed statue that some of the Imagineers made of it. And it just kind of floats around the attic scene in the Haunted Mansion. So you can kind of see it in the ride, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, I decided to do a Mythic Legions version of it because why not? So this is the original concept sketch for Candleman. And it's just a guy made of wax that has candles on his head and his shoulder, and his hand is like a candelabra. So that's the sketch that I made the figure off of. And then I went and I made a drawing, which I think is there's the drawing I did of kind of what I wanted it to be. I ended up changing some colors and some concepts, but it ended up coming out, pretty much exactly how I wanted it to from the beginning.
It looks sweet.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm not much of a digital 2D artist or whatever, but it's fun to kind of sketch things out, especially when I'm at work all day, just thinking about stuff. I tend to just put it down. So
I think Mike has something to say about this because I already know what he's going to say. Let's hear it, Mike.
Well, I don't. When you first came to us with this concept and kind of gave us the backstory on what it is, dude, all I could think I was like, how is that going to translate into a Legion? And as you got further along in your process, dude, I was so blown away. And I think I even mentioned it to you at one point. I was like, there's going to be nothing on the floor, custom wise, that is going to be anywhere near this arena, man. This was so outside of the box. I'm so impressed how you were able to translate it in out of parts that we have and a lot of the actual customization that you were able to put into it and have it look that good, dude. I was so floored, man. So floored.
that's cool. You never really know how people are going to take things. So it's just cool to know that people liked it. And yeah, I didn't think people were going to gravitate towards it, but they definitely did at the show. Even more so than the Maelstrom troll, which I was sure was going to be the centerpiece of my table. But yeah, he was fun to make. It was a challenging process, and it definitely was very slow, but it came out cool. I don't remember all the photos that I gave you, but if we can just cycle through them and I'll comment on them, I guess.
How do we do that?
Oh, you know what? I think I did that. I thought I was adjusting it just for my picture, and I realized I just changed the whole stream.
All right.
I was gonna throw in while Noah's working with that being there this year was super cool because, well, being there was cool, but being right next to Eric's booth, I got a little taste of seeing people come by and gush over Eric's stuff, and it was just awesome to see everybody take pictures of Candleman and take the time to check out all the different customs. Obviously, the turtles are always a hit. Always funny to hear Toy Bro come by and talk about eventually getting you to sell them to him. One of these years he's going to chip away at you. So
we'll see. There's quite a few people that want those things. So
yeah, I know.
And I feel like you had actually worked on that earlier in the year, right? It definitely wasn't a last minute addition to your custom. So when we were setting up, you had actually stepped away. I think I was sitting behind your table and somebody was walking around, and you only had one or two of the dials up, and they were asking, I think, what was going to go in there. And dude, I had completely forgotten about Candleman and why it was what's going to go in there. And the only thing that was sticking out of my head was, your crocodile. Custom with the ballerina, that was my immediate thought. And he's like, "No, Mike." He's like, "Not that one, the other one." And I totally drew a blank. And then when it came back, I was like, "Oh yeah."
I forgot who we were talking to about that. It totally probably wasn't a big deal.
Either.
But I was so. I want to keep Eric's secrets, you know what I mean? So I didn't even want to say what it looked like.
That's funny.
Right, it wasn't our place to say nothing. And then I think what Noah was alluding to before when he thought he knew what I was going to say, we go back to that picture that you posted of your sketch,
Sure.
you got to make a print out of that, Eric.
Yeah.
Is that what you thought I was going to say, Noah?
That's Mike's line.
Yeah.
Well, you got to make a print out of that?
Yeah, I love concept work. Dude.
I do too. I really do too.
That's my favorite stuff, dude. In the back of the books, when you get the big compendiums and you see the artists, their little process and their little. I love that stuff.
I'm telling you, I think Noah, you should sell your concept sketches for your custom heads next year as an option to with the heads or something. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's like limited. You know, like maybe you buy the set and like you get a tiny little printout. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, have to
Yeah.
look into that.
I wanted to quickly just say that we got a lot of cool people in the chat. I'm sure you guys already, shouted them out. But G's in there, Schmurger Burger's in there, Thomas Belay. It's so cool to see everybody again. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love the little side chats that go on in those chats down there. It's like
Mm-hmm.
people like
too.
reuniting in the lobby. Like, hey, buddy, how you been?
Yeah.
shout out Jordan,
Oh yeah, Jordan too.
Heinrich.
Mike V.
Look at
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah, why feel free to grab any of the chats on the side or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's right. I can do that. Instead of sabotaging our live stream, I can actually help out.
So the last picture you had up there,
Yeah, let's go look at that thing
Yeah.
real quick.
so this is kind of like the infrastructure of the candelabra hand. And originally I had planned on doing some light piping with LEDs, and it didn't really pan out, but I went to all these lengths to make this like light piping infrastructure, and I implanted LEDs into the figure. They're induction coil LEDs, so they're wireless LED lights essentially, and there's an induction coil, just a copper circle that you plug in, and once it gets into a certain vicinity of that copper coil, the LED lights basically pick up on a magnetic field and illuminate. But they ended up just being too weak to be able to use. But I did it, and I put the time in, but it just didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. But that's the inside of the candelabra hand, essentially. And what that is those are Lego pieces.
Oh really?
Yeah. So that's just like a long, clear Lego piece.
Oh, I
I
see.
don't even know what it's for.
Super glued.
Yeah, I actually melted them together so that there would be one piece.
Yeah,
And did you bend the other ones with heat also?
Yeah.
Is that how you did that?
Yeah, they're straight pieces, so I just had to
Right.
shape them and carve them down.
Very creative. I remember when you were talking about the lighting scheme and like we're
Mm-hmm.
like running tests about it and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that's a fun little bit of engineering there. That's cool.
And I try to put gimmicks into my Haunted Mansion customs because that the whole attraction is based around practical effects, so I try to do that with the customs. But I also don't know what I'm doing. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't
Eric's an Imagineer.
at heart.
Eric is an Imagineer. Did I? Okay, wait. I have a
And a
little.
Muppeteer,
Can I
everything.
tell a quick side tangent on Imagineering? I don't think I ever mentioned this to Eric. Maybe I did. But did I tell you guys I got to go on an Imagineering tour at Disneyland
No.
like a couple years ago?
No.
It was for my native club, and I was thinking about it because you mentioned the Imagineering story, or you were mentioning Imagineering to us earlier in the week, and I was like, oh, I don't think I ever shared that with Eric, but yeah, it was for my native club on campus, like for our American Indian Society of Engineering and Science. We just applied and we were like, hey, could we come? And they were like, absolutely. And I guess we were the first like native group that ever got to do it, which was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so like a bunch of like the park managers came and met with us, and they took us on a tour and told us the history. We got little pins, which I have 2 of them. I don't want to get your hopes up, but if I find the other one, I'll give it to you, Eric.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we got to see. I think the really cool thing that we got to see, they're like, we have not showed this to anybody, any public tour or whatever. It was like we got to see behind the scenes of the. It wasn't Rise of Resistance. What's the Millennium Falcon one?
Smuggler's Run.
Smuggler's Run. We got to see behind the scenes of like how that operates, and like the big kind of sound room it's in. It's really
really
interesting. Yeah, the Imagineering behind with Disney is incredible. So super
I didn't
cool.
know that.
Super sweet.
Yeah, you are an Imagineer, Eric.
That's cool.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, look at that.
So yeah, so I just sent Noah a bunch of photos, so I don't know what order they're in or anything. But, so this is a work in progress of obviously the torso and the arms. So how I achieved the look that I was going for was I basically carved the figure down to the basic shapes that I wanted it to be. So like this is a standard Mythic Legion's armored torso that I just carved down and drilled holes through and did all sorts of stuff to it, and then I covered the thing drip by drip with UV resin, and each individual drip was like a separate step that I had to do. So like putting the UV resin on it, putting the UV light on the resin to cure it, and then moving on. So hundreds and hundreds of times doing that to get the end result. And that was I kept spraying it with primer to see what it looked like, because the UV resin is clear and you can't really tell what's going on until you get some sort of color on it. So like there's a ton of layers of primer in this thing too, just so I could see the progress I was making, and just making sure that everything looked the way I wanted it to look. So this picture is just an example of that.
Do you have a rough estimate on like how many hours? Like, is this the most amount of hours you ever put into a custom?
I definitely put more time into the Maelstrom presentation, mostly the diorama. But this was a very slow process. Yeah.
And I know we'll get to that diorama later, but that diorama was really cool. That was
Yeah.
really cool.
And I know
So-
you didn't send all of these pictures like when you were like making this custom, but you would send updates once in a while. And like this is the kind of stuff that you would send that I'd be like, what?
It's
is
fun
going
stuff.
on here?
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I think it's interesting, and it's cool to see the progress, especially when you're like, this concept was just really weird. So it was fun.
No, really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the same thing, but with the leg section.
You did a really good job of making it still kind of feel like a toy, you know? And I mean that in like the best way possible. Like it's clearly very well done, but even like your kind of I don't know how to describe it, like your on the spot sculpting, it came out really, really well, you know?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Did Treadaway get to see this one at all? Do you know?
He saw the figure, but I never got to like talk to him about it or anything.
'Cause he's a big Disney guy, right?
For sure. Yeah. He said he appreciated, I think he referred to it as the double whammy of Disney obscurity that was on my table. But that was the extent of our conversation about it. So I'd like to get to talk to him more about it in the future at some point.
I was watching a Pixel Dan video the other day, and he was at Disney World, and he had like a short, like 5-second clip of like somebody dressed as Figment, and I went, I know that guy.
Yeah.
I know Figment. I know that because of
That's
Eric.
That's funny. Eric, so just, I think these pictures are in the order, roughly in the order that you sent them, and I think they just kind of progressed through the process here. I think the next
Sure.
one's going to be the head from the same.
Yep.
Here we
So
are.
that's the head. Same thing with the head. I used actually strip styrene, or not strip styrene, but styrene rods for the candles on the head, and drilled holes up through the head so that I could embed an LED in the neck peg and have it shine up through those. And it worked better than the hand did. Like the hand was really the failure, but this one worked okay. And then there's a candle on the pauldron that actually worked really well, but since they didn't work consistently enough, I just kind of scrapped it. But you can see too, like I just have little balls of like blue tack on the tips of where the light piping was, just because I didn't want to get paint on that during any part of the process, so that the light piping would actually work.
It's masked. You
Yep.
masked it. That's cool.
What did that head start as?
It's a skeleton legion builder.
Just tore it up and
Yeah,
dripped
carved
some
it
stuff
down.
on it.
It bears no resemblance whatsoever to that part.
You
Well,
can just a little tiny bit here, maybe.
yeah,
And
I wanted to
then
cover
the
pretty
eyes.
much any part of it that would make it look like bones, because it's obviously there's not supposed to be bones in the character. So
Yeah, so cool.
yeah,
It would make a great third-party head sculpt. Same with
Yeah.
the torso. Like I'm looking at it, and I know there's certain pieces that I think the Four Horsemen don't want people to make, and also they don't structurally hold up very well. But I mean, this would be really cool to see in the line, like actually, you know.
Totally.
And it's also cool to see an evolution of your work in the sense that this is like it's not even a third-party sculpture. It is an Eric sculpture, you know. Like, I think that's really cool, and I really do feel like that's an evolution. It's not even just using parts in the parts library, but it's like you taking existing parts and literally putting your art on top of it, which is great. It reminds me of uh, uh, recently at Designer Con, they had like a bunch of Valiant Knights on display. I think you guys saw that, where they invited like kind of all these other toy artists to interpret a Mythic Legion's Knight, and they all did all kinds of crazy out there stuff, and it gives me the same kind of vibe. Basically, I'm saying, Eric, you're a true artist. So
Thanks, man.
yeah.
Yeah. This is just another picture. So I don't think there's anything I can say about this one I didn't already do. But yeah, just trying to visualize it. So that's me starting to work on the pauldron and figuring out how everything was going to work there. And just
Paint.
moving right along. Yeah.
Dude, at what point
That's
in
so
your
cool.
process do you like look at this and be like, there it is. Now it's coming together. Like where it starts to really like look like what you envisioned.
I guess once I start painting it, even then sometimes like I really have to get the whole thing like fully assembled.
Big Dub in the chat. He's
Yeah.
claiming this. Sorry, Eric.
Yeah. What are you going to do? So this is a finished picture, and so the light piping didn't work the way I wanted it to, but at least I was like, well, I'm still going to paint these flames with fluorescent paint so that if I want to like shine it with a black light, it'll look like they're illuminated. So
There's nothing electronic there. That's just paint.
Yep, that's just paint.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Dude,
Like,
what?
if you would have told me like the piping worked, I'd have been like, oh, good, nailed it.
Bro,
Yeah.
this is crazy. Like I remember you shared this picture with us like months ago, but seeing it again now, I don't know why. It's blowing my mind that that's actual unedited
Yeah.
photo right there. That's crazy.
Practical magic.
Practical
Yeah.
magic.
That's just having like a good awareness of the product that's out there and what you can use too, because that's, you know what I mean? It was just a good idea on your part. And honestly, man, it probably worked 1,000 times better than the lighting would have worked on its own. Like no matter who did it, like that, it photographs better, you know.
Totally.
It
Yeah,
does.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe so. Yeah.
What you might have mentioned this already, Eric, but had you had experience working with this UV epoxy sculpting material before? I know you've probably used it on other projects, but like obviously this is probably the most you've ever used it, right?
Yeah, I never really did anything like this with it. I'd used it for basically like filling gaps in sculpts and things like that. That was about it.
I learned that trick from Eric.
UV resin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool material to work with.
Rob's right. And Eric's an artiste.
A true artiste.
Eric, and the next photos are going to be going into like the process of the diorama. for
Okay,
this
cool.
guy.
Yeah. So this is an actual image of the grandfather clock that's in the Haunted Mansion. So I decided, the Candleman never really got put into the attraction, but I used it as an opportunity to just make a new section of the attraction. So like when I did the Hatbox Ghost, I did part of the queue. When I did the Tightrope Walker stretching room portrait, I did a section of the stretching room. So I used this as an opportunity to do just another section of the ride. So I kind of did the corridor of doors section and the grandfather clock, which I made out of the Red Death grandfather clock.
Chop
When
that
they
thing up.
released that part, did you like when you saw that was going to be the accessory? Did you immediately think like, I know what I'm using that for?
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is how Eric justifies on his tax returns to the IRS that it's for business when he goes to Disney World.
Yeah. I wonder, actually.
Yeah. And Big Dub's totally right. I love hearing Eric's process, and I'm lucky that I get a front row seat to it.
Thanks, Dub.
Yeah, that's
And-
from all of us.
Yeah. So this is just a photo that I threw in for reference. My gosh, my dogs are
this
making
is-
so much noise right now.
Now the
Sorry.
audience knows what editing the podcast is like.
Yeah, this is the stuff Wyatt has to cut out. My goodness.
It's okay.
That last picture, I know we don't have to go back to it, but when I saw that, I literally thought that was a picture from the diorama. So
Oh, really?
yeah, that
Cool.
was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the real attraction in that photo. So yeah, this is when I started getting to work on
Eric's the real
sculpting
attraction.
sculpting the grandfather clock out of the Red Death clock. So I had already kind of like sliced up the Red Death clock, cut out sections I didn't need, took off a bunch of like I took off the chimes and the little pendulum that hangs. I'd pulled this faceplate off where the clock itself was because I knew I was going to be replacing that, which you see here. So that's the actual Haunted Mansion clock faceplate, and then I actually don't remember what I did for these little like finger looking things. I think I just cut styrene and glued it on there.
That looks so cool.
But yeah, it's like the 13-hour clock, you know? So yeah, I just covered it with, I just printed it out and put it on there.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah, it came together pretty well. I'm not much of a sculptor, but the green stuff sculpture that I did turned out okay.
Not much
yeah.
of a sculptor proceeds to make an entire
Yeah.
wax-looking candle guy.
This guy,
That was all gravity, man.
gravity.
Yeah,
That's funny.
cool.
That thing rocks. So
Yeah. So like
here's
there's
a comparison.
the final, yeah, compared to the original Red Death grandfather clock.
Quite a transformation.
Yeah, came out pretty cool.
That's all gravity, man. It's gonna stick with me. Just imagining Eric is totally not this guy, but I'm just imagining him sitting there smoking a joint, watching the fate go down on the Candleman. It's all gravity, man. It's not me. It's all gravity, man.
Yeah, that's really cool looking.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to other parts of the diorama. So I wanted to do the corridor of doors, and I found this cool 3D print on eBay, but they didn't make it large enough for the diorama that I needed it for. So I emailed the guy on eBay and asked him if he could make it larger, and I got no response. And I took it to Google and found out that guy had the STL file for sale on certain sites. So I bought the STL and sent it to my guy Anthony Velez at Noble Bear Customs, and he made it happen. He said this is the largest single print that he's ever done. That door from bottom to top is almost a full foot. So it's
Wow.
a very big piece. And you can see the different colors here are actually from the different times that he had to refill the
Oh my goodness,
the resin
printer?
reservoir
Oh,
in
wow.
the printer because it kept running out of resin.
No
But-
way.
He made it happen, and that thing is majestic.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to also, by the way, I didn't mean to highlight this comment, Michael, as if we were just gonna like not acknowledge it and be like, yeah, you guys are talentless. That is not true. You guys have a
No
lot of
way.
talent.
I wrote in the comments, Wyatt. I was like,
Oh yeah, I
"Yeah,
saw your
yeah,
comment.
we always say that.
We do always
Not
say
true
that.
either.
But that is also not true because Mike, you take amazing photos, so it's really just me, and that's why I edit the podcast.
And you
So-
edit, yeah,
Yeah.
like 2 hours worth of drivel out of the conversation. So
We all got our parts to play. You know?
We got Kevin McCoy in the chat.
Yeah, I saw
Hey,
that.
Kevin.
Kevin. Sweet.
what's up, Kev?
Let's see what else we got here, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, this
So
is
that's
cool.
just another reference photo. So that's what I used for reference for the diorama as far as like the location in the ride that I was kind of shooting for. I didn't try to do it exactly, but I just tried to get the basic like vibe of it essentially.
Nailed
And you can see one of those doors there in the background.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Just more photos of the actual ride. There's like portraits of the ghosts that are in the mansion in the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of funny and
I
interesting.
like this guy right here.
Yeah. That's the Hatbox Ghost, but he's wearing a derby for some reason.
He's cool.
Eric, did you ever experience anything weird on that ride? Because I had one ride experience that to this day I still can't explain like what happened.
Oh,
Did you ever have
jeez.
nothing like that happen?
Ooh, we're moving into the ghost stories portion
No.
of the live show.
Get ready.
So if you
everybody.
got like 30 seconds or a minute, I'll tell you real quick. So it was Jessica's first time going to Walt Disney World. So she'd never been. So we hopped on the Haunted Mansion, And you know how the carts, they rotate on the ride, like depending on what part you're going through it. And at one part in the ride, like towards the end, it's where it's twisted. So you can, if you look to your right and if you look to your left, you could see the people that are in those adjacent carts. So immediately to my left, as it should have been, because this is the order that we got onto the ride, it was me and Jess in our cart. And the next cart was my mom, my aunt, and then my aunt's son, so my cousin. He was a little kid at the time. So it was the three of them, right, in this little cart next to us. And I remember going sideways, looking to my left, and like smiling at them, like, hey, what's going on? And then the ride rotates again, and at one point you're all behind each other again. When we got off the ride, they were not in the cart that was adjacent to us. There was complete strangers in a cart in between us. Like, I don't know how, when that even happened. Because even as we were going through like where the mirror is, and you could see, the beware of hitchhiking ghosts, like they were still next to us. So I have no idea how that happened, why it happened. It was just freaky.
Were they there when you got off the
That
ride?
is
Like,
weird.
did you not see them again?
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that?
no, they were,
Yeah?
but they were,
Oh, okay.
instead of being in the cart right in front of us, they were 2 carts ahead of us now. It was the strangest thing. I was like, what? So weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Holy cow.
I don't know.
Talk
It was
about
like a
spooky
dimension
time.
jump, dude. It was weird. It was of all the rides, like
Yeah.
for that to happen on. It was strange.
The most appropriate ride.
Yeah.
Mike has some actually, we're not going to get off on this tangent, but Mike has actually told me some legitimately spooky ass stories that he has. Like,
We'll do a sidebar on that one.
We're
I
gonna
only
have to
brought
do-
this
well-
one up because it was Haunted Mansion time. So
Yeah.
you got a weird ass story about the motorcycle thing. That one freaks me out. Oh, Greg, what's up, Greg?
Big Greg himself.
Hey, Greg.
What's up, Big G?
I'm missing everybody. I've seen everybody in the chat. Tanya's
Yeah.
here too. That's cool. Miss you guys. Thanks for checking us out.
Yeah. Looks like more reference stuff, Eric.
Yep. Yeah, more reference photos.
Ooh, this is cool.
So yeah, this is just me roughing out the diorama to get the dimensions. So obviously the door was kind of the centerpiece of the diorama, so I wanted to make sure that I had, the dimensions good in reference to the door, essentially.
I think that's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
We're sidebarring the ghost stories tonight, Greg. Sorry.
So this is the door painted. That's a close up of the lion emblem on the door, and then they have these cool snake door handles. And then I got to do some patina on there, which is like one of the funnest things to paint, in my
You
opinion.
love your patina. You did. I
Yeah.
remember you did that on the little bust too.
Yep.
I would love to photograph this piece.
The diorama.
Yeah, like all your stuff would be fun to
Yeah.
photograph, man. Like get all close and get all those details. Like, look
Probably
at
make
this.
some of that happen.
That's awesome.
I don't
Yeah,
think I
it's fun.
appreciated how your diorama skills, Eric, until I saw this year's stuff.
Yeah.
He says he's not a dio builder.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing at all. Like I just kind of piece it together
Sure.
until it's done, I guess.
Sure, buddy.
You're totally wrong. So
That's the stuff you like. You'll like comment in the chat too. You'll be like, "Oh, guys, I'm so not good at this," and I'm looking at my phone and I'm just like, "This guy." Like, okay. Oh, okay.
I want to start a new trend. We don't talk enough about Eric's dioramas
Everybody,
Oh, my
because
goodness.
we really
let us-
we really don't. I
let
think
us
the
know.
figures always take the focus, but
let us know if you think Eric can build a diorama. Put it in the chat. Look at this. Come on. So there's some more details. I know that
Yeah.
picture, Eric. I've seen that picture. That
Yeah.
detail right there.
Yeah, I made
Right?
that my Instagram photo for a while leading up to the con as kind of like a teaser of what's to come, I guess, if anyone even caught it or cared.
I was gonna ask you, did anybody like sidebar you and be like, "Dude, is that what I think it is?"
I think one person, though I don't remember who it was, like saw it and they were like, "What is this in this photo?" And I explained it to them before the show. But yeah, I didn't say like, "Oh yeah, it's part of a diorama." I just said like, "Yeah, that's like a grate in one of the doors in the haunted mansion," and that's like all I said.
Can I-
This little
oh, go ahead, Eric.
detail
You know,
here. That's
What's
cool
that?
with the top hat.
the skull. That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So wait, this was 3D printed, right? Off of a design that you got? You said this was the door, right? That was printed by Noble Bear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Where'd you get the file?
Just off
Just
of a
found it.
website where you can download files, 3D
Cool.
files.
The other thing I was going to ask was, I know that you started pretty early on this last year or earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
How far in advance did you know that this was going to be the one that you wanted to do, or did it just kind of, you're like, well, this one makes sense? Because I feel like the Trolls came later, but you started working on this one like a long time ago.
Yeah, I wanted to do the Candleman early. I had him done for a long time, but this diorama was actually the last thing I did before Legion's Con.
Mm-hmm.
I had the figure done since like March or something. But yeah, I put the diorama off until later on in the year when I was done with everything else.
Cool.
Man, so cool.
Yeah. And then these are picture frames. So like we were saying, that corridor of doors has just a bunch of pictures of the ghosts in the mansion. So these are the picture frames I ordered a resin or a silicone mold for resin. And I used more of that UV resin to cast these picture frames and then paint them so they're not like a pre-bought thing. I had to
Dude, come
kinda make
on.
those too.
Yeah, he does Dios.
You need
Yeah.
to have like little, like, I don't know, you need to offer a tour of your booth or something like that so people can pick up all these little details, or a little placard,
That's cool.
that describes it. It's very, very cool, Eric. I didn't know that. I don't know why I thought that these, I mean, they look really great, but they look like they're professionally done, you know? I didn't even think, like, how would you have scaled the photos to the picture frames or vice versa, you know?
Yeah, and the photos are just printouts, and then I cut out like a action figure blister pack, and I just cut the plastic into circles so that it looked like glass in the frames, essentially, and just glued it all together.
That's so cool.
It adds like an extra layer of like tangibility. Like if somebody look at cool presets like that tangible, like non like edited stuff. Like I appreciate that you don't just go out and like just buy extra stuff. You fabricate so much of your own details, dude. It's ridiculous.
I try to.
So cool.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, Eric, I don't build dioramas, Miller.
Yeah, come on.
Look at this, guys.
Yeah. So I had a Valiant Knight on my desk, so that's what I used for scale when I was kind of putting it together. So in this shot, I had done like the molding on the diorama. Obviously, I got the wallpaper up. The door is glued down at this point, but the pictures aren't. So I was just coming up with like where I was going to place the photos, just making sure that the composition looked okay.
It almost feels like a optical illusion. Like at first when this came up, I thought it was a 2D image, but no.
Oh, yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
You know what's cool is that the Valiant Knight there actually does not look out of place at all. It looks like decor that you might find.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like in
you're
an
right.
old, like Victorian
Yeah.
home like that or something.
Absolutely. What is he holding, Eric?
A Rubik's Cube.
Oh,
It's cubing.
he's cubing.
I got that cube last year after Legion's Con. There's a website that my son orders all his cubing stuff from called The Cubicle. And their headquarters is in New York.
Uh-huh.
And we got to go visit their headquarters and tour their warehouse.
Cool.
And it was like 10 minutes from Sleepy Hollow. So we went to Sleepy Hollow too. But
Ooh, wow.
they just let us go through the warehouse and they were like, if you want to buy anything, just grab it. And I found these little like perfect 1/12 scale, like actual Rubik's cubes. So,
Oh,
like,
so
that's
they're like mechanically work.
yeah, that's like a fully
Wow.
working Rubik's Cube. So
Oh, cool.
that Valiant Knight has been holding it since last year.
It's solved too. I love
Yeah.
it.
The
Did you
funny
do that,
thing
Eric?
is, what?
Did you solve it?
No, it was unsolved. And
Oh.
my
And
son
Even
came
Eli
in.
did it. I knew it.
Yeah, my son came in while I was working on the diorama and solved it really quick.
That's
Did he do
so
it with
awesome.
tweezers, like
No, he just did it with his fingers.
fingers?
Yeah.
What a boss.
When you beat all the other cubists, you face the final boss.
The final boss.
He's just holding the Rubik's cube like that.
He could start a new. They could start a new competition with tiny cubing.
Mini
Yeah.
Cuban.
You know?
They should.
I just want to.
Hey, wait, Mike, aren't you a mini Cuban? Hey,
Just because
that's
I'm the
what's up.
shortest enabler.
All right, good night, everybody.
I'm also the widest enabler, okay?
Oh, damn.
On that
Damn.
note,
Oh,
gentlemen,
man.
I have to
Clip
go
that,
put my
clip-
kids to bed. True story, though.
Wyatt.
It was great hanging with
Sorry,
you guys.
sorry.
My feelings are not hurt. Love you guys.
No, he's actually leaving.
It was
He's actually
the timing
leaving.
of it. Yeah, I do got to punch out.
Oh,
I
it's
got
almost
work.
like we timed that, man.
I got work
I love you,
tonight.
Mike. I didn't mean that.
We'll see you, Mike. Thanks for
All
showing
good,
up.
bro. All
See you,
good,
buddy.
man. Have fun, guys. I'll try
Good
to
night. Love you,
I'll try
buddy.
to
See ya.
catch the rest on my phone.
For sure.
Sure.
See you, Mike.
That's funny.
Man, I cooked him so bad he left. That sucks.
Yeah, you roasted him so hard. I just want to take a second to point out that there's a couple of us, 2 out of 3, that have some purple lighting going on. Just kind of vibing pretty good here.
Sorry.
Vibing hard. Eric, it's
I got
okay.
some really cool LED lights recently that I'm trying to take advantage of, so it doesn't look like a boring environment behind me.
Yeah, it's,
Me and Mikey walking is my fave photo. Shout out, Greg. Sorry, Mike's gonna miss that. Hope he'll catch that one.
oh, yeah, that is a sweet
Oh, he's in the comments now. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
He's going to get you, Greg. All right. What else do we got here? So
All
this
right.
looks like a further in progress here.
Yeah, that's basically done. That's it. So that's the finished diorama there.
That's so cool. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at the floor. That's so
Yeah.
nice.
Floor came out all right. I should have placed the boards a little bit differently, but I was like just trying to get it done, I guess. So I'm learning there. Next time I do a wooden floor, it'll look better than this one.
I mean, it kind of looks like an old house's wooden floor. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see... I'm also not... I've never laid flooring, so it looks good to me. Actually, Noah might have. Yeah? What do you think, Noah?
I think it looks perfect, Eric.
Yeah?
I think you did a great job, buddy.
Do you think he could fit in the union?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah?
I remember, Eric, was this the one that we were talking about maybe trying to figure out some sort of like edging or carpeting of some sort? And
Yeah, I thought about it.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything that fit what I had in my head, though, so I just kind of left it.
Yeah. I think it looks super cool, man. It's great.
So you were going to try to put carpeting instead of the wooden floor?
No, I was just gonna put I was trying to find like a rug, like a runner kind of rug to put on top of the wooden floor.
Did you... I'm curious if you thought about... because the thing that comes to mind for me is like a pool table cloth or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I looked at like placemats, I looked at ribbons, I looked at just all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
couldn't
cool.
find anything that scale wise looked like it
Right.
fit. Like I
Yeah,
just couldn't find
fits.
the right design.
For sure.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Little detail shot.
And then, yeah, just close ups.
Look at that. That peephole or whatever. It looks so cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's almost, you know, we love our 1/12 scale stuff, but it's almost a crime that it's so small because you just miss out on so much of the detail, the patina and stuff like that. Like, unless you got the chance to really sit and look at it, which I know a lot of people did because your booth was popping, but, you know, seeing these close-up pictures helps me.
Look at the wallpaper on there. Like, even just the wallpaper is, like... Everything is... Eric, you didn't miss any details.
No.
I try.
So cool. What else do we got? Look at that.
So that's a shot that Bill Janowski took at the show.
Shout out
Just
Dork Lair.
Yeah, just a really good picture.
That's awesome.
Sorry, Van. The emos, I don't think ever wander the house, so...
Yeah, they're not in the house. I'm sorry.
Dan. I was wondering if that was going to come up. Oh, hey, look at this.
Hey, who's that?
I didn't put this in here. Do you remember where this picture came from?
I
remember,
took it from someone. I don't remember who I took it from.
I've seen it before.
Yeah.
I feel like
It might have
Noah,
been
you win most photogenic of Legion's Con, and all the pictures that we have or that I've seen of
being
you,
sassy.
you're always making a little sassy face.
Yeah, it's being sassy. I think this was from Jordan. I want to say. Tell me,
That
if
could
I'm
be right.
wrong. But yeah, this was my. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. You know, that deal. You don't need to look at that. Wow.
Whoa.
Look at this. Kind of a similar look here. What's this, Eric?
Gosh. Okay, sorry, I was reading Van's comment. So this is the next project. So this is the three-headed troll from the Maelstrom ride that used to be in Norway at Epcot. I believe the last year of operation was 2014. So it's not like an ancient thing, but it's been gone for a little bit now, about 10 years now, I guess. So it's now the Frozen ride. So actually in the exact same place that this troll was, is exactly where Elsa is now, singing Let It Go.
Oh,
I'll
song
never let
too?
it go.
Yeah.
Eric,
I'll never
Eric,
let
me
this
neither.
troll go. I wonder what they
Trevor,
do. Eric, do you know what they do with like things like this when they, hey, what's up, Trevor? What's up? Do you know what they do with stuff like this? Like when they discontinue it at the park? Like, does it ever go up for auction? Does it go into an archive?
Yeah,
do
so
they just
stuff-
trash it?
Stuff
Incinerate?
does go up for auction quite a bit, though this one was not put up for auction. I mean, you would know because someone would have it.
Yeah, this feels like it would be a big deal.
Yeah, there would be record of a sale. So I'm assuming that it's in the Disney archives, but I don't know. I have not found anything that said where anything from this ride went afterwards. Except I do think, now that I'm thinking about it, there was a polar bear in there that I think might be in the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disneyland. Yeah.
that's interesting.
Somebody send her a link.
And there's in the Frozen ride after the drop that comes after the troll scene, there are some puffins on a rock that actually were in Maelstrom. They just left them there for the Frozen ride. And the ride vehicles, they didn't change at all either. So the ride vehicles from Frozen are the exact same ones from Maelstrom.
So let me get this straight. This was at Epcot and for Norway, and they
Yeah.
completely replaced, I'm assuming, all of Norway with the Frozen experience, or are they saying that Frozen takes place in Norway?
Yeah, like that's the thing is like Frozen takes place in a fictional town, but it's based on Norway essentially. So
Interesting.
they're just loading the parks with IP at this point. So all the original stuff that they had when the parks
Oh,
opened
yeah.
is like going away, and they're just putting in stuff from movies.
Yeah.
So
such a
obviously,
bummer.
Frozen was such a like,
Hit. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like it was like a phenomenon, one of those kind of level of movie that they quickly just replaced Maelstrom with it.
It's unfortunate because that really, I was fortunate enough that I got to go to a few years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. I went to Iceland on a trip, and at pretty much every town, every like larger town I went to, there was some form of like iconography of like trolls or you know, that sort of thing. There was art installations that I went and visited
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a bummer. That seems like that's a big part of the culture.
For sure. And it was really cool. So yeah, these are just reference photos that I used when I made the figure. So that's just someone
gnarly.
working on the animatronic, which gave me an idea of, you know, as far as scale goes too. So I landed on brute scale for this one. It didn't look like it was quite ogre scale. I thought brute scale made a lot of sense for it. So that's what I went with. And I actually designed the heads and had them commissioned by a sculptor, which we'll get into. So this is one of the original Imagineers working on the sculpture for the troll.
Oh, I
And
thought
can
that
see
was you
there's-
for a second, Eric.
Yeah.
It kind of does.
Right? A little bit.
Kind of
like
little
30 years from
magnet-y
now.
looking.
20 years from now.
There's a lot more detail on here than what you see in the final trolls because they all just kind of ended up getting covered by hair. And my sculpt doesn't look exactly like this, but I kind of looked at this and came up with just the features that I wanted in my sculpt. I kind of picked out my favorite features from each one. So like on the left troll, I got like the long nose, though this one looks a little more like tree stumpy, you know. And one of the things I liked about him was that his eyebrows are like an old man's eyebrows, kind of like facing downwards, whereas the other ones face up. So I pulled that in. And this is all on a sketch that you'll see probably in a frame or two. The middle one, I liked the kind of like ogre shaped nose that he has. It's kind of a square shaped nose. The mouth structure I took, and these like pointy kind of elf ears. And the one on the right, I really liked his bulbous nose and the fact that he has like one little tooth sticking up there.
Oh,
So
that's super cool.
yeah, I took those into account when I did the design.
Should we?
'Cause Sorry.
Oh, I thought the next one might have been the design.
Yeah, we'll get there. So this is just another reference photo from the actual attraction. This is called a Nookin. It's a water troll. Basically, in Norwegian lore, these guys would like lure children into the water and basically drown them.
Sounds like
So-
a fun ride.
Yeah, pretty dark for a Disney ride, right?
I love it.
But he's super goofy looking, so I made my own sculpture of this guy too, and definitely amped up the goofiness. That was a fun part of making.
I'm
this
sure all the
project,
drowned
so-
children thought he was goofy too, Eric.
Yeah, for sure.
Real quick, just a little bit of housekeeping, I guess. We had a question in the chat from Van.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, he's out. He's celebrating his anniversary and cannot be with us. So yeah, we miss Joe, bro, but we definitely understand why he's not here.
And he's not going to be in the next episode of the podcast either because he's fully booked for 2 weekends. It sounds like. So
Spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
spoiler alert, he's not in the next one.
Yeah.
Anywho, back to the Norwegian horrors, please.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. Horror is Nuckin.
Yeah.
He's cool.
And,
That
yeah.
was a bad joke. Sorry, Eric.
It's all right.
You know, wait, real quick. Occasionally, I will catch a Noah comment on like in a group that I am not a part of. That is just so funny to me. Like somebody recently asked for a Hawk P40, which is a Mezco character. And I'm like, and I had seen the post like a day ago because it's like it was an old post, and like Noah felt like he still had, and it was like, hey, can somebody sell me this guy for $100 or something? And I saw the post and I scrolled past it, and then like a day later, it gets back in my feed again. And I'm like, why is this here? And I see it's because it's been highlighted by one of my friends who's commented, and it's Noah, and he goes, how about a Hawk Tua? I'm like, and there's no likes on it. The post is like a day and a half old, and I go and I give it a like, and I'm just like underappreciated.
It was
Noah
it was
joke.
ridiculous. Totally
Totally
the thing
ridiculous.
was like Hawk, like dash P40.
P40 is the
And
character,
I
yeah.
was like, Hawk dash. Never mind.
Dash Tua.
We don't need to dignify that. No. Yeah. What's going on, Van? Oh, he's selling. What's this, Van? What are you trying to say?
I have no comment.
Little stinker.
He's probably I've seen all these Tom Cruise, Joe Russo memes recently, so maybe he's like climbing the Burj Dubai or something like that with his significant other, or parachuting or off a
NASCAR.
cliff or something. Yeah.
Doing
mhm.
NASCAR.
He's in space right now, actually, guys.
So this is a photo of the attraction. So you would ride through this scene on a boat, and basically the troll would curse you and send you backwards over a waterfall. So your boat would go backwards down a drop.
I'm
Still
frustrated
there.
I never got to experience this.
Yeah, it's still, the ride is still exactly the same, but it's just overlays of like Frozen characters.
Which is so sad. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and it's again no shade against Frozen. Like, it's a fine property, but like the independent artistry and cultural references here, like that would be so much cooler to experience, especially in a place like Epcot, which is what that's all about. You know?
Right, exactly. One cool thing about this room, they kept the magic effect that's up above the troll
swirl.
there. So that's still there above Elsa when she sings Let It Go to you and you just fall backwards over a drop. but I'm glad they kept it in there because it's just part of the original ride. So that's pretty cool. And then you can see here they've got it's basically a painted forest backdrop. So you'll see that later in the diorama. And then like the magic effect I wanted to get done in the diorama too. So you'll see I did that with fiber optic cable and it came out pretty well. Maybe not as perfect as I would have liked, but it was a lot of work and I'm glad it wasn't a complete failure.
Eric, what was it about this? Because this has been out of commission for 10 years. So what was it about this ride or this, like, did you have a personal experience remembering visiting this ride or what was it about it that like was like, oh, that's what I should do next?
Yeah, I actually never got to experience Maelstrom, but I just know about it because I do so much research on Disney parks and Imagineering, and I just think it's a cool story of a ride, and I think it just translates really well to Mythic Legions. Trolls, gnomes, ogres, goblins, whatever. I just thought it would be a lot of fun.
For sure. And we've seen, I guess, there's been sculpts of three-headed trolls and things like that have circulated before. So, I guess that makes sense. I thought I saw it. Maybe it was like, I don't even want to identify the artists, but was it like Immortal Creations or somebody? I don't know. I feel like I've seen a three-headed troll or like a troll with its head kind of like split. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, I've definitely seen the split ones.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
As far as I know, I've never seen a three-headed troll.
Maybe I'm totally off base.
Like torsos with multiple necks on them, but I don't know that I've seen it like a three-headed sculpt that goes into one the same way.
You guys would know. I talk out of my butt half the time anyway. So.
You're
Joseph seems to think that you're going to do something Frozen next year, Eric. Now it would be really funny if you did do something Frozen and it was like sweeping away the troll, like the head or something like that, or pushing it aside. Yeah, pushing it out of the dio.
No, in my headcanon with my creations, I think Maelstrom is still current. So
I like it.
Still there in Eric's heart.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because I do a lot of Disney tributes, but my tributes are all parks tributes. Like I don't really do tributes to Disney movies, which I don't dislike Disney movies, but that's just not what I do tributes of for the most part. But maybe we'll get there.
I appreciate that about what the tributes that you do because again, like to craft an experience is something. I know. I was waiting for it. To craft an experience is something completely different. I feel like than just like doing a property. Not to say that either of those aren't cool, but like I love like what you're telling us right now. It's like a little lecture learning about this ride that I would have no idea about.
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, fascinating is a good word.
Yeah. All right. What's the next picture on here?
So the next picture is some concept.
Yeah. So this is the original drawing I did that I sent to the sculptor, which was I always butcher his name, Gianluca Cercielli. Goes by GNArt on like Instagram and stuff. He's an awesome sculptor out of, I believe he's in Italy. So he's the guy who's done all of my commissioned sculptures so far. And this was the first sketch that I sent to him where I just kind of, like I said, I pulled out some of the features that I liked of each one of those characters and didn't really worry so much about making them look exactly like the ride. But just to kind of give it a cool feel of, something that is an homage to that ride, but not exactly the same thing.
Man, that is so cool. I'll speak for Mike on this, and I'll say that this needs to be part of a print. And I can kind of see that you've got some more drawings in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would make a cool print too.
Maybe.
Yeah, I really like it.
So this is where I kind of broke the heads down individually. I kind of said to the sculptor early on, like, well, it's 3 heads in one, so I want it to be one piece. But do you think you could do them individually too? And he was like, yeah, no problem. So I just broke it down individually and pointed out some of the same features. So like I can't even really read what I put there. So like this guy has round ears. He's got an underbite. Like that was one of the features that I really wanted him to have. And then this is where I was pointing out that his eyebrows point down instead of pointing up, which I thought
sure.
was a cool defining feature of that character. And then the nose profile shape, I just wanted to get that right. So in the next one here, like you can see square nose, and then I kind of drew out those kind of like elfy, goblin-y kind of ears to show that. And then I wanted the third one to be more of a happy type character. So, I mean, in the ride, all of them were yelling at you. They were all mad that you were in their territory. But I thought it would be cool basically to have like the angry one, the doofy one, and then like the happy one. So that's kind of what I went with these. Just pointing out, he's got one tooth on the bottom there, and this one doesn't have ears visible, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm having a Voodoo Ranger, if anybody is aware of what that is. Delicious.
I've got a fine root beer. Killer Brew root beer.
I have Kroger brand Coke.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay, what are we looking at here? Oh, this is the Dio.
Yeah, this is a mock-up of the diorama.
Got
so
it.
just to get placement and
Yeah.
where I wanted everything. And I originally wanted to do a waterfall going over the edge of the diorama, but I had so many issues with the resin when I finally did it that I just scrapped it and just left it the way it was. So
Wait,
that's
repeat
really
that
the
about the resin? What was it that you had
So
trouble with?
here in the bottom right corner here, I was actually going to do like a waterfall. Like I was going to make
Oh,
the
okay.
resin look like it was pouring out of the diorama,
Got
essentially.
it. Yeah.
But the resin kind of gave me some guff when I tried to use it, and I just decided to scrap that part. Yeah, just scrapped it.
You'd had enough working with resin at that point, I'm sure.
For sure. Well, and I was kind of running out of time too, so I had to decide what was more important. But yeah, I mean, overall, the layout of what it finally looks like in the end is pretty much exactly like what this drawing is. So I feel like I accomplished what I set out to do for the most part.
Definitely.
Definitely
Nailed it,
accurately
dude.
reflects it. Yeah.
Look at that. I love. You even got the little heads in there and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a. I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's a rough sketch, sketch. But I mean, it still is detailed enough that you can see their faces and facial detail. You know, did you draw this? Were you drawing this by hand or digitally?
It's digitally, so
Yeah.
I actually just imported the same head drawing and just scaled it down and drew the rest
Okay.
around it.
Right, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, these look like two different like pencils or something like that.
Yeah, I'm bad at remembering the like the digital pencil style that I used or whatever. So
What when you do draw, what program are you using?
Procreate for iPad.
Cool.
That's
It's
super
a
cool.
really fun program. It's capable of doing so much more than what I know how to do.
I like this.
So
piece.
yeah,
Yeah.
this one came late in the process. The troll in the ride is just holding a big log, and I was like, what am I going to do for this log? Like, what interesting thing? Like, I don't want him to hold an actual stick, and I don't know of any toys that come with like a log, and like I don't want to 3D print just a
log.
But then at some point it came to me like the ships that you ride in the ride have these masks on them that are like these like ornaments from like a Nordic Viking ship. So I was like, it would be cool to if that was like a staff topper, and I could just use the Mythic Legion's like wooden stick, and just put a new topper on it. So
beautiful.
I sent this to my sculptor, and he knocked it out after a few revisions. For some reason, he's in Italy, so there's a little bit of a language barrier.
He's really knocking it out.
He thought it was a hat. So
Oh.
yeah, he sent me the first sculpt, and it had
I
like,
guess if you said like, oh, it's a topper maybe or something like
Yeah,
that,
for
right? It
sure.
would make you think a hat. Yeah.
I was like, well, why does it look all wavy? And he's like, well, it's a hat, right? And I was like, no, it's not a hat. But after we got into it, he was like, all right, cool. Let me have another pass. And then what he sent me was perfect. So yeah, it's a totem. I wanted it to look like it was whittled. So like you can see, I put some texture in the
Yeah.
drawing
On the
there to
beak.
show that it's like whittled.
Beautiful.
And his sculpture, I think I forgot to put a picture of his final sculpture in this stuff that I sent to Noah, but
Yeah, I
it
don't
was
see it.
perfect. Yeah, all that texture's in there.
What made you pick this sculptor to do the work? Like, was there something in particular that you saw, or
He
just
was
level of
referred to
awareness?
me by
Yeah.
someone, and I worked with him first on the Astronautilus tribute that I did at last year's
Hmm.
Legion's Con. So of course, just went back to him. I think he does great work, and yeah, I really like his sculptures.
A lot of truth in there, Trevor.
Yeah, that
So
was the equivalent of Eric saying some bad things.
And
I
that's
give him some cup.
my PG way of saying things.
Dude, seriously though, like your drawing here, especially the more detailed one on the right, like
Yeah.
that is so cool. Like
Yeah.
definitely that's just such a fun and cool like little picture, and it's well done. Like
Thanks.
that's so cool. I don't know what else to say.
Now, do you own the files on these, on the topper and the head sculpts and stuff like that? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So that's another cool thing with the sculptor that I worked with is like I own those files. So I think Noah's going to help me try to wide release these guys a little bit if people are interested. I mean, obviously, if there's no interest, there's no point in doing it. But if people want these sculptures, we'll get them to you.
I suspect there's going to be some interest.
Yeah.
I definitely want one of these toppers. It looks so cool.
Yep. I've got a
really
few of these extra. I should have taken them to the con, but I didn't.
That's all right.
I love the idea, like, while Noah's moving to the next one, I guess, but I love the idea of, like, both you and Noah kind of, not you're hiring sculptors, but, like, commissioning this sculpt work, I think is really cool. And I love to see that kind of evolution. That's definitely something. And maybe next year at Legion's Con 25, I'll have a Wyatt sculpt. I'll talk to Noah. We'll figure that out. And
Yeah.
we'll get some Wyatt heads out there, because I did get at least couple people who asked about that. So we'll have a whole enablers gambit of
For sure.
interesting sculpts you can check out.
Like yeah.
So this photo here is this is the Kurzog, right? The Brute? Kurzog. No. Tharnog.
The Brute? Tharnog, yeah.
Yes. So this is he's a Tharnog body that I used. So I fully repainted it to be like like a Caucasian skin tone. And that's basically what this photo is.
Some more.
And then I covered it all with soft goods.
Did that hurt?
Yeah, for sure. It worked though. Yeah, so
look
there's
at
the sculpture painted on the body. So just kind of piecing things together and seeing how they work.
Naked troll guy.
Yep. And there
Troll
he
guy
is with
clothes.
yeah. So I used the I always mix up the magician's names. The good magician
Samir.
from Poxus. Yes, Samir.
I have him
So
up here.
that's Samir soft goods.
Yep.
That I
Looks like
dirtied
it.
up and cut holes in and just made it look
Cool.
tattered. And then just some rope. I couldn't find the right color rope that I wanted, so I got this white rope and I ended up dyeing it to get the color I wanted. But that's just the first time I was kind of making sure everything worked. And I took a photo there.
Maybe I missed this when you mentioned it, Eric, but who did the printing for your heads? Or for this
Anthony
head?
Velez did.
And okay,
Yeah,
so still
Noble
Anthony.
Bear.
Yeah.
Yep, he's my guy.
Okay.
Anthony's an excellent printer.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Shout out.
I typically I'll do some printing, but when I need to do anything in any volume, or if I want something that's super high quality, I'll typically talk to him.
Yeah.
Anthony's been an incredible help for all my 3D printing journey, and yeah, definitely shout out to Noble Bear.
Absolutely. It's a cool level of collaboration that exists in this community of like, you can have the kind of you can take an idea all the way through sculpting to, maybe you need somebody to paint it. You guys do the painting, but you know what I mean? And then like to production almost levels where you can get a run of them made or conceptualizing it like you do, Eric, it's pretty awesome. And like even our podcast, even the fact that people are watching our stream right now is because of really wonderful people who taught us how to do this sort of thing. So, like John Caulfield.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great.
What else do we got?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah, these are the eyes for the Nookin troll for the diorama. Again, I used UV resin with a mold, and I painted the eyes from the back side of the resin so that I kind of
Cool.
got a dimensionality to it. Yeah, that's pretty much it there.
Is the resin very fragile, or is it pretty durable?
UV
'Cause
resin is
I
a
didn't
lot.
obviously hold any of these.
Yeah, it's a lot more durable than like the types of resin that you get in 3D prints.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the original sculpture that I did of the Nookin. This is air dry clay. And then you'll see in the next few photos, I think, it did not work. It was bad news. That stuff shrinks and it cracks. And yeah, it basically just turned into dust. So I had to do it all over again. This time with Super Sculpey. And then that ended up working. So that's another time where I tried something and it didn't work. And, so I started over again and tried to do it better the second time.
Mikey's in the chat, and I think I was thinking the same thing, Mike. It's like knowing that Eric said, "Oh, and I'm going to cover it up with soft goods," and I asked him if that hurt. It's two reasons: because yes, I know we have the funny thing back and forth about soft goods, but also because Eric knows that it's a fully painted deal under there, and I feel like that's kind of what I've picked up from you, Eric, is like devil's in the details in terms of what you do. Like you're the one that's going to know whether those picture frames are 3D resin casts of the actual picture frames from the, from the ride. So totally on brand.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is just more step-by-step photos of the Nookin. So this is with flocking on the top, a bunch of different kinds. There's some rocks in there, ferns, different leaves, just to make it look like he's got a bunch of like vegetation growing on top of his head there.
So cool. Look at the wood, you guys. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
look at that.
the wood detailing is amazing. The patina on the wood is amazing. I remember I didn't really get a good look, I feel like, at a lot of the stuff until it was like being either set up or packed up, like the first day or last day was when I finally got to get some time to look at it. And I was impressed by the levels of layering that you did on the diorama pieces as well, like in terms of the greenery. Just from a placement perspective, I thought that was really cool too.
Sure. Yeah, I don't want it to look. I mean, obviously it's fake, but like I want to give some realism to it. So varying the textures is like that's how you do it. Make sure you've got a few different types of flocking for the grass. Maybe something that looks a little bit more like bushes. I've got some that look like twigs and trees and stuff that I mixed in there. So I put a lot of like money into this because you can't buy a little bit of any of this stuff. You have to buy a lot of all of it. So I bought like just like these like 6-foot lengths of like fern looking things and just to cut it down and use like 4 little sections from it. And like, yeah, I mean, just a lot of money going into resources, things that I'll never use again. But now I've just got the rest of them sitting in a box somewhere.
You've got a lifetime of foliage material.
For sure.
At
Yeah.
this
I
point,
won't run out
so.
anytime soon. Yeah. So that's it with the eyes on. And this is where I was roughing out the diorama. I did two layers of foam and kind of cut them down so that I would have a reservoir here that I could pour resin in. And I wanted the Nookin head to be able to be removed. I didn't want it to be stuck on there forever, so I cut out foam underneath that in the shape of the head so that I could pour the resin there and have like a little platform that I could just sit it on, basically.
So Eric, to make all these cuts, you have a Proxon foam cutter, correct?
Yeah.
And then
And
you
it-
also have another type of foam cutter. That's how you did the base of it.
Yeah.
kinda
So I
smooth it
have
out.
that Proxon that's basically like a table saw for like diorama foam. It's amazing. And then the other one was just a little like a heat stick thing that I have. It had a straight end on it, but I actually bent the end into like a U shape so I could basically just like scoop out sections of foam just to get it out of there for this. Thank you for saying that. I worked really hard on it. Yeah.
So good. Sorry, if you want me to speed through anything, Eric, just let me
Yeah.
know. I'm just thoroughly enjoying the whole thing.
Sure. So this is, after I had put down layers of flocking for grass and made it look nice and muddy in there, got the rocks in there, I decided like, oh, I'm going to pour a bunch of resin in here. Like I might as well like put some fun stuff in here. So I rusted up a Templar helmet, and put it down in there. And I also, rusted up a Templar sword and put it in a separate space, just so if someone felt like they wanted to like look closely under the resin, like in the water and see if there was anything in there. Yeah, there's some cool stuff in there that I threw in just for fun.
I'm not sure what the next picture is. I'm hoping that maybe it has the sword in it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh yeah,
I see the
that's
helmet.
basically the base for the water troll.
It's really
Yeah, you can see the helmet there to the right.
It's so cool.
cool. Look at this.
Oh,
I wanna
so this
hear
was
about
the
this.
really tedious part. So trying to recreate the magic effect from the attraction, I decided I wanted to do fiber optic cable for it so I could shine light through and have it illuminate. But that involved me drilling holes through the back of the foam board and individually putting fiber optic cable through. This is actually at my desk at work. So when it was slow at work, I was just sitting there
Trimming
feeding
fiber optic cable.
through a foam board. And it ended up being like almost 1,800 fiber optic cables that I pushed through individually. So that took me like 3 days at work to get done.
Say that number again. How many?
It was
1,500?
1,800.
1,800.
Just short of 1,800, I think.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that, people. That's just one part of this project that he did.
Yeah, I feel like I guess I don't know if you guys have an equivalency, but in San Diego there's Legoland, and when you go to Legoland, they have like all these crazy dioramas of Lego buildings and cities and things, and they have little, like I mentioned with Eric earlier, like they have little placards that say like this was how many bricks it took, or like
Oh,
how many
yeah.
hours it took to make each of these things. Like I feel like the Eric booth needs some more of those details so you can kind of appreciate it more, because here I am, like it looked amazing when I saw it, but you don't take, you take for granted the kind of background work.
Sure. Well, and there's lots of amazing artists at like Legion's Con and places like that who are showing off their stuff, and they work just as hard on their stuff too. Like
Absolutely.
every piece on those tables has a story behind it, and those guys work hard at their craft for sure.
Definitely. But they're not here. So we're going to
No.
talk about it. We're going to be bragging
Sure.
up Eric here tonight.
I was watching, I think Robo from the Fwoosh, formerly the Fwoosh, now Robo doesn't know, on YouTube. He did a live stream where he was talking about his Legion's Con experience, because this was his first Legion's Con that he went to, and he said one of the coolest things about the con experience was going to the room, the exhibitor room, and like a lot of the people there don't sell their customs and the work that they're doing, and he said it was like an art show. And that was,
Yeah.
I've heard that from a couple people as well, that it feels like an art show. And obviously, the three of us, we've all been there. But just kind of pointing that out, like, it is a unique con experience if you've never been, because it is like an art show. Like, for as many people that are selling, there's probably just as many people that aren't, And Eric is one of them. So, other than heads,
sure.
I guess,
Yeah. So this is the fiber optic cable coming out of the back of the diorama. Obviously, it weighed it down so much that I had to kind of come up with like this jimmy rigged foam structure to support the weight of it, all of it. So that's what this picture is.
It's pretty cool. Look at that.
Yeah. So this is after the
that's
resin pour. You can see the helmet in there,
And then
there's the sword. And
Hashtag, we don't talk enough about Eric Miller's dioramas.
right?
that the resin was it was a whole lot of resin, and I did not take proper precautions with it. I learned the hard way that this stuff like creates billows of smoke, and I couldn't stay on top of the bubbles and stuff, so there's bubbles all through it. But you learn.
It
Learn
gives it a
from your
running
mistakes.
water kind of look, though, actually.
A little bit,
you know?
and then the top of the resin, it cures almost like a mirror type of finish. So I went over the top of it with gloss Mod Podge and just took a paintbrush and swirled it around so that it kind of gave it that running water look on the surface too.
Movement.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And that helped hide a lot of the imperfections in the resin itself too. So that actually, I think, worked to the advantage of the diorama.
Yeah. Water effects.
Yeah. So
And we
this is
lost
the.
Wyatt. Oh, there he is.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
This-
Sorry. Messing with
Just
my
a
tables.
close up of the water troll in the finished piece, basically.
Look at that. It's amazing. Look at these guys.
Yeah. So there's heads I painted for the show. So I actually the 3 troll in one piece here I painted to sell at the show, but I decided I liked this one more than the one I painted originally for the figure. So this one went on the figure, and then the one that I had painted a few months ago was the one that I sold at Legion's Con. And then I painted one each of the individual heads to sell.
See,
at the
okay,
show.
so I was asking you, like, do you own these sculpts? Do you think you'd ever print them? And blah, 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 blah. Not only did I forget clearly that you had done that, but also I didn't even get to see it because by the time I showed up, all that stuff was super gone, you know? Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I only did one of each piece painted for the show.
Paul's here.
Hey, Paul.
Let's see. Oh, these are Eric's glamour shots.
Yeah, so these are just my shots of the painted pieces that I took to Legion's Con. So when I was showing the pieces that I was bringing to the show in my posts, and I had stuff crossed out and said, like, I don't want you to see this yet, this is what was under the scribbles on those photos.
That's so cool.
I really
knew the
love these
secret.
sculptures. They came out so good. And I like they couldn't have come out better. I love them.
I love that I can tell when it's an Eric Miller shot, too. Like that. I don't know. You wouldn't think a black background could be iconic, but the black background with however you do your lighting, and I suppose your particular way of painting things as well. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's Eric's. You know what I mean? I can, with a glance, know, you know.
That's cool.
He looks, like you said, he looks doofy.
Yeah. This one was I wanted him to be super angry, just a nasty guy.
Yeah.
Thomas, you got to get your Heelys on for the next con.
Yeah, if people want unpainted sculpts of these that they can paint, like let me know. Like I'll do a sale if there's enough interest in it, and if Noah wants to print them for me.
Yeah, I'll be happy to help.
Yeah.
You know, and if we want to do something larger volume, maybe we could talk to Anthony. But I'm
For sure.
Like I said, I'm more than happy to help as much or as little as you'd like.
Yeah.
I'm here for you, buddy.
The Mythic Enablers are going to turn into an artist commune.
Oh, Chris
Yeah, so-
Johnson. He said he got scored one.
Oh, nice.
Congrats, Chris.
Yeah, that's
Very,
awesome.
very rare.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Eric?
So, I was just saying this is the left head. Well, I guess the right head to the troll. So he's kind of the doofy guy with the saggy eyebrows and kind of the misshapen head.
There we are.
Yeah, so there's the piece all together. So again, like I have a sculpture. There's 4 separate sculptures. So there's the 3-in-1 sculpture, and then there's each head individually. So
there's that
pretty
one,
cool.
and I think we've got just more pictures of this guy.
yeah,
Sounds like a lot of interest on the head sculpts, and I have no doubt that they would
good.
work. You know, this is funny.
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight this real quick from Paul.
Nice.
Noah's permeated the dream space now.
Oh, okay. So I was one of the vendors at the really crappy Legion's Con. Appreciate it,
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so these are just more shots of the painted sculpture. This is the one that I intended to sell, but ended up going on the figure itself. So
That's so cool.
nice. That's awesome. We'll make it
Look at
happen.
that.
Yeah, no pressure, Eric. Just start slinging unpainted heads. Oh, look at they
This is what
they
it would
look
look
even
like.
good unpainted. Yeah, they look great.
That's the product.
Yeah.
So cool. And then there's the individual ones. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a duplicate there.
Yeah, one of those is
Oh, never mind.
I don't know.
They're all the same.
They're the same. They look like they're different sizes though, but I do have one print of this head in an ogre scale that Anthony did for me.
I was gonna say between Van and G, we're seeing a lot of people identifying with their in-laws in these sculpts.
We're not going to tell your wife, G. That's funny.
Yeah.
Look at this.
So this is the 3D render. So this is what he sent back to me when I was like,
Cool.
"Oh,
That
sweet!
looks
This is
great.
what it's going to be like." So this was the very first shot that he sent me, so I could see like, yeah, he got the details. I love this. I just had him change the positioning of the heads a little bit from this. I had him make it a little bit more of like an upside down triangle, lower the side heads a little bit, bring the beards in a little bit, so it's more of like a V shape compositionally.
yeah.
But yeah, sculptures for the most part remained the same. And I did have, he kind of had like a solid wall, like where the tongue would be. So I had him kind of go back in and give more dimension to like the inside of the mouth with the tongue. But other than that, they were great. And this was like, when I opened up my phone and saw this photo, I like lost it because
Yeah.
it's just so cool to see it kind of coming together.
Now, can I ask on the process? Did you, when you were commissioning the sculpt and going back and forth, like, did you know the limitations of the printer, or was it like, hey, Anthony, run this print? Oh, turns out the depth is going to be an issue. Need to go back to Gianluca and fix that,
Yeah. So we kind of didn't, at least I didn't notice that the mouth wasn't really fully realized until we printed it out. So that was one of the things where Anthony came back and was like, you might want to tell your guy to go back in and flesh this out a bit. So we did. I'm noticing here too that the hair is very rough on this. He definitely put more work into the hair sculpt after this shot too. But yeah, it's cool when you see it start to come together in these renders. These are, individual shots.
It's okay, Greg. I couldn't either. I was full on sleepy Y both days of the con.
Look at that.
Yeah.
He's like, hey. Look at him.
I love these dudes. They came out so good.
He looks like he's telling you the same. This is the story you've heard 1,000 times for the 1,001st time.
There's
This
that
guy,
guy.
he's just happy to be here.
Yeah. Every
Yeah.
time I look at one of these two, I'm like, this is my favorite one. And then I look at the one of the other ones, and I'm like, this is my favorite one. You know?
They have so much
I
personality.
just love them all. Yeah.
G's calling you out. Why?
Okay. Well, I shut it down one night with G.
Told you to go to bed early.
I don't remember. G, you need to go to bed early. I don't know how he was pulling that off. But then the night on Sunday night when I left, or Monday morning, when I left to go to the airport, I walked downstairs and it's like 3 or 4 in the morning, and Thomas Belay is still out there.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh boy,
That dude.
what a time.
Knows how to do it.
Yep.
He's a animal.
You got a pin shout out also, Eric.
Thanks, Chris.
Oh,
I've got,
We're gonna get to those in short.
yeah,
Yeah.
that process laid out in here too.
Yeah. Actually, just a couple slides from here.
Yeah.
Look at that.
There we go.
I'm gonna grab another quick sip real quick. I'll be right back.
You good?
Grab a sip. Why? While he's gone, let's talk about all the juicy secrets. Just kidding. But yeah, so here obviously you're gonna see the This is the absolute final, Eric.
I believe so.
Okay.
Either that or very close to it.
You can.
But you can
those
see how I
be-
had him pull in the heads and kind of get that more triangular like composition out of it.
Yeah, more like they're almost like closer to being on the same neck,
Mhm.
where if they're not necessarily kind of side by side necks.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. I
Yeah.
like those sculptures. He did a great job.
I love it. Yeah, he did a wonderful job.
Let's see. So here,
Yeah, this
Eric.
is going into pen design now. So talking about the pens, they start with me doing a line drawing and coloring out, blocking out where color will be. So I didn't end up making this pen. I wanted to, but I did the Mythic Enablers pen this year. I did the three-headed troll, and then I was like, I have room for one more pen, and I ended up, even though I drew this one out, I almost sent this one to get made, but I decided to do the Frankenberry pen instead. Because people had actually, been asking me the last few years if I'll do a pen of Frankenberry, so I decided to scrap the Candleman pen and do Frankenberry instead. So maybe I'll come back to this one at some point, but that is the design that I had ready to go for the Candleman pen.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. It's just a simple little drawing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just so bold. Like anytime you do your pin drawings or anything like that, I love how just like bold they end up being. It's just a fun look.
Yeah, you have to block out color. I mean, that's just because the way that the pens are made. So like, you can't really do like fading colors, or anything like that. Like everything kind of has to like have its own little like reservoir for the enamel to go into to fill out the pen. So you've got to think about it from a different perspective when you do that.
So Eric, do you have any pins left over for that you would be interested in selling, or are you just kind of planning on doing those for at cons or shows?
I have a ton left. Maybe I'll put them up for sale, or I thought about maybe opening like an Etsy store or something like that. I know Trevor does stuff on Etsy. Thought that could be a good home for the pens.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I know I was sure to go over and grab. I actually bought from your wife. I was
Yeah.
like, hey, sell me some of those pins.
For sure.
I should have picked up more pins. I really love your pins. I have the EM Customs pin, and I have a Hatbox Ghosts, I think, pin as well. And I love the Mythic Enablers pin. Shout out to George for that one.
Yep.
And of course Eric for the design. But great stuff.
Eric, are you planning on going to MuskyCon? MuskyCon?
I'm undecided right now.
Undecided.
Yeah. I went way overboard when it came to shows last year. I kind of worked myself to the bone, and I can't really do a repeat this year, but we'll see. If nothing else, I might try to just attend, even if I don't have a booth.
Yeah.
Because I do love seeing and hanging out with everyone, but we'll see what happens. I might change my mind, but I'm also in a mindset right now where I kind of I want to sit back a little bit this year and maybe not worry about that stuff so much.
You deserve that.
You definitely deserve that, dude. And like, I don't know that it needs to be said necessarily, but I'm gonna say it. Like, Eric is always cooking behind the scenes. So if you're not seeing something, it's not because like there's a disinterest or he's. It's not even that life is busy for Eric, but you still make time for your artwork, and it's just in different ways, So
That boy
there's always something cooking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
I work on this stuff constantly. So, yeah.
So this is pretty fun. I really like this. This should be a color page. I think you need to have these available at the cons for the kids.
Yes.
it would be super easy just to print them out and sit them there for people to take if they wanted them. So, yeah.
Wouldn't you color that, Wyatt?
Yeah, horribly.
Color that.
But yes, horribly. I try to keep within the lines, but you never know with me.
And that's just the line drawing for the pen, for the troll heads.
I would love to do a competition where it's like Eric's daughter, Eric's son, and me all coloring this in, and we try to figure out which one was Wyatt's. Because I'm certain Eric's kids could do better.
That would be funny.
And there's the color pen proof there. I wanted to do some more dimensionality in the hair, but there were so many colors on this pen already. It came to the multiple skin tones, multiple tones of the lips, the mouth, teeth. All three of them have different colored eyes. It was like you just got to chill with the colors, or else this thing's gonna be so expensive. You know.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't. I just kind of stopped there, but I really love how it came out, and the final pin looks exactly like this drawing.
That's great.
So, yeah, yeah, like that's the final pin.
It does. It looks exactly like the drawing.
Yeah.
Like, almost
Can
one
I-
for one.
Can I just point out the card back? So he
Yeah.
has a little magic swirl going on in the background.
Yeah,
Details never escape Eric. I especially love. I think I got 2 of the pins, and I have one that I'm not opening, and I'm keeping it as is because I love
awesome.
to see the boom enabled on
Oh,
there.
yeah.
You know. I wanted to point out real quick. I don't know if you highlighted this or mentioned this at all yet, but Rob asked this question, and I wanted to hear what you had to say.
selling at Legion's Con. Oh, selling at Legion's Con. So this last year, I not only did I sell at Legion's Con, but I also sold at IshCon and I sold at MuskyCon. So MuskyCon is in March, IshCon was in August, and then Legion's Con was in November. So I painted all year long. I started in January and maybe even in December of last year. And I just painted. And what I had at shows was all I had the time to paint.
Yeah.
You know, between doing my personal projects, painting for shows, and I have been hard at work on professional stuff this year too. Stuff I can't show or talk about yet, but you know, I was busy with that stuff too, and it'll be out there at some point, and we can talk about that stuff. But yeah, I had an incredibly busy year.
Yeah.
I also have a full-time job that I work outside of all of this stuff,
And a
So-
farm.
And a farm.
and a farm. Yes.
Did we just jinx
So-
Wyatt?
I think we did.
So yeah, on top of it, I have the farm to maintain, plus my full-time job, plus professional stuff, plus stuff to sell at shows, plus the stuff that I just need to get out of my system as a personal project to have a cool custom. So yeah, lots
And
of stuff.
play musical instruments and
Yes.
Oh my god.
everything.
Yeah.
You-
And take kids to
that's it.
cubing competitions and
Yeah.
research trips to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And again,
all
he's-
things. Yeah.
We're not talking about Cubans. Again, we're not talking about mini Cubans.
We already lost our little Cuban tonight, so
So to answer the second part of that, like if I do any commissions, like no, I don't have time for commissions. If I did commissions, I'd never get any of the other stuff done. So it's not that I don't want to. I would love to take on projects for friends and people in the community, but I'm not able to take that on.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to get that one, Wyatt? Mike's in the chat. He's damn it.
when I first saw that comment pop up, I had the I had the wheeziest laugh. I wish I had my mic unmuted for that. I'm gonna start weightless my shoes. Oh man.
Dang, Mike. But he's the strongest enabler
Oh, Mike could kick
Yeah.
my butt.
Oh, for sure.
Mike could rip me in half. You know.
by far. He's our help.
I only make these kinds of jokes when I'm 3,000 miles away from the guy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's fair. And so Eric, we have one last photo.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so this is the printout that I put on my table at Legion's Con. So it's just to give credit where credit's due. So like I come up with the concept, I create a design, I give it to Gianluca. He does the digital sculpt, and then Anthony Velez at Noble Bear prints everything out for me. So that's the
Quite the
team.
trio. Quite the
Yeah.
the team. Yeah.
I
That's
guess
awesome.
that's it. That's it. I don't know if anyone has any questions or anything. I mean, don't feel obligated to ask a question, but this ended up being a pretty long stream, actually.
This did end up being a long stream, but I still am so invested. It was so cool to learn the process. I think, in some ways I take it for granted because I get to see it happen throughout the year, like as your friend, and get to like see you send stuff and hear about how it's going and stuff like that. And then, I almost don't always piece it all together when I do see it in person, because it's like, oh, I've been hearing about Eric work on this, but to see the level of detail and the amount of passion that you put into it, it's really cool. So I'm so glad that this went long, because it was full of great content. I also think that this is an interesting way for somebody, if you're an aspiring artist or want to get involved in something like that, you can see kind of a little bit about the process of how it's done, and get a little bit of the inside knowledge, and that stuff's not always super accessible. So thank you, Eric, for sharing it, and Noah for facilitating it as well with the slideshow.
Sure.
There's a whole lot that goes into it. So I thought it's been cool, like doing these streams for Noah stuff. And I've been working on this stuff all year, and really, I don't like to show it before I go to Legions Con. So I just had the idea like, oh, maybe we should do one for this stuff too and talk about it.
I'm super glad you pushed for it, Eric, because this is what those kinds of live streams are for, is like the visual stuff that it would not make good audio content. So it's great to be able to have a companion.
For sure.
Oh my goodness. We'll have this one first. And then
Rob.
this one. I got that comment a few times over the weekend.
Don't stroke his hair, whatever you do.
Don't touch the hair. Not without permission, at least. My mother's a hairdresser, so she's always hooked it up. I don't really know.
Whatever mom says.
Yeah, whatever mom says. Yeah, I got her genes. Yeah, I don't know if there's any last minute things you guys want to throw out there. Before we bounce.
Just a little recap. So Eric, we talked about your customs, your Candleman, and we talked about your Maelstrom troll and the dios of both of those things. We talked about the pins that you made. Talked about possibly an Etsy at some point, and possible to sell those pins. We talked about your trying to focus more on your own projects and things like that, rather than things for shows, like you did last year, pretty heavily this last year, which we're all thankful for. Thanks for putting all that cool stuff into the community that you did. We didn't talk about raccoons and we tried to stay clear of emus and everything. Emus.
Yeah.
And everything like that. We kept it pretty high level. We maintained our audience pretty well, so thanks guys for sticking around.
Thanks for coming.
It definitely made it a lot of fun. That's what I got. Anybody else?
No,
Did I miss
great.
anything?
Great spark notes there. No, bro.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would personally love to see, and I'm not the creators or the artists, so I'm going to pull a mic here and I'm going to put it out there and we'll see if it happens. I would love for us to do just occasional, very rare enablers drops where we've got just some of the sculpts that we do or some of the prints that we do or whatever it is. Put it out there, limited quantity. It goes if it goes, it doesn't if it doesn't, or whatever. And we just don't hold to like keeping things in stock, but we just do it maybe every quarter or something like that. Would be really cool.
Yeah. He meant, and he did rag. He that, but yeah. Sorry, Mike. We love you, buddy. Thanks for
Chris?
coming in.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Sorry, buddy. I love you. Chris and Rob said more streams, which I really enjoy doing the streams. So,
Me too.
Especially after getting back from Legions Con, I was like eager to get to hang out with you guys again. Like when we did our recording session, both attempts, we spent a long time hanging out, and it was just because I missed you dudes, and I was really excited to do this live stream. I was glad that we had that on the docket, So,
Definitely.
a challenge. we can't guarantee a Mythic Mythic Enablers live show, but what we can guarantee is if you come down to the lobby at the Hanover Marriott, you will see this at some point during the weekend.
More feats of strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. G. Shout out G. We love you, buddy.
We got Big G and Little G in here.
Yeah. Little G, Big G. Right? Capital and lowercase.
And Joseph will totally let you know. Yeah.
For sure.
If you didn't get an Enablers pin, those pins are so cool. I can't get over them.
Chris, it was a blast hanging out with you, dude. I just want to
Totally.
say when you were reaching at stuff on the top shelf in Cameron's office, I nearly crapped myself, I did not want any of that.
Bro, did
I
we
was
mention
like,
that on the
"Hey, that's bold."
podcast?
I don't
Did we
know. I
mention
don't
Chris
know.
by name on the podcast? I feel like we kind of dodged that, but
I don't
Chris,
know.
Chris was bold during the experience, and I appreciate him for it. You know,
Trevor wants to do a crossover.
yeah, I just saw that Enablers Legion Quest D&D crossover. Super
Pretty
down,
cool.
super
Yeah.
down. Yeah,
We can make that happen. I'm sure.
I can bring out Gump, the
Yep.
little goblin.
This guy.
Mike, you didn't get an Enablers pin? What the heck?
Was there all week?
Yeah, I got 2.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Chris.
We'll make it happen. I could use some dragon money, so
There you go.
Yeah.
You know
there
what?
Go.
I don't know where we can fit it in, and there's no pressure because the holidays are coming up. But maybe we can find some time to figure that out. We'll talk about it behind the scenes. I couldn't reach it on the table. You are not, Mike. You are not that short, my
Get
friend.
outta here.
You are not that short, my friend. You are not that short. You are not that short. I am gonna have to go back.
Here and he's cutting up.
Yeah. I need to go back. I almost want to make that a reel for our socials or something like that. Me making that comment and then Mike being like, "All right, guys, I see you for the night." Like he just left. It was perfect timing.
Oh yeah. Couldn't have done that better.
Yeah,
Big
that's
bully.
awesome. Cool, for sure.
Cool. Do you want to send
yeah.
us off? Why?
Yeah, thank you guys for spending the evening with us. Yeah, we definitely went long, an hour and 50 minutes that flew completely by. If you're watching the replay right now, hey, thanks for checking that out. We do these streams maybe once a month, once every few weeks, kind of whenever it makes sense for visual content. If you're not listening to the podcast, go to the Mythic Enablers podcast on Spotify or Apple Music or Google. Leave us a review as well. I was checking out our reviews today, and it would be totally helpful and move us up in the algorithm and all that stuff. So, yeah, in any case, thanks for coming by and listening to us gush about our buddy Eric. Eric is an incredible talent. Noah is an incredible talent. Turns out everybody who does this podcast is an incredible talent, which is fantastic. So thanks for spending the evening with us, and look out for a new episode, not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. We're going to be recording this weekend, and I think we'll be talking more about the con stuff. So if you're curious about what Legion's Con is like, or maybe you're one of our friends that hung out with us at Legion's Con, that's the episode to check out. I think we're going to be doing a lot of talk about that. So, yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks everybody.
yeah, we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Peace.
Bye.